Very keen and close eye morning. So like we hear there, of course the Government Employees Pension Fund at the centre of this, given the PIC invest on behalf of government. Now, where is the fund at the moment, given all these questionable investments, trying to wheel and deal there as well? And we're hearing now that, that things are okay. People's money is safe, despite everything we've been hearing.
Surprisingly, we heard from Government Employees Pension Fund yesterday that the fund has actually been growing and things are looking positive and good. And this is very contrary to what many people have been suspecting, given the fact that the PIC does invest on behalf of government employees, and they're basically in control of that fund. But yesterday we heard from Abel Sithole, who's the CEO of the GEPF, basically telling the Commission that there has been some questionable investments, there has been some concern, some portfolios within the fund haven't been performing as expected or as the fund would have wanted it to be performing, but it's been doing really well. It's grown by 8.3% in the last financial year to 1.8 trillion rand. So we were all expecting them to say that the fund is not doing well. There's big concern because of all the revelations that we've been hearing throughout this Commission of Inquiry. Also, what was interesting was the fact that they were saying that they're not dependent on the PIC. Sithole used an example to say that there's this perception that there's an umbilical cord between the PIC and the fund, but the fund basically saying that, we can live without the PIC. We can find another asset manager to help us control these pension funds. So it was very different to what we expected to hear, but I think it's some kind of relief for government employees, given the fact that there was such concern that this fund was not doing too well.
Well, there are some, though, that some of the schemes that he highlighted as particularly worrying as well. Just give us a bit more detail.
Yes, definitely. So he did mention the AO Technology Solutions investment that the PIC got involved in. That's 4.3 billion rand. He says that the PIC did not bother informing the fund about this particular investment, and this is a very controversial investment, given the fact that the PIC, or the allegation is that the PIC paid way too much than it should have for this specific investment. The company was way overvalued. But Sithole is saying that, look, it's quite shocking that we were not informed by the PIC. It's almost like they masked it to make it seem as though it was an unlisted investment, but because it exceeded 2 billion rand, they were supposed to inform the GEPF about the specific investment. Also, if one can just remember that the PIC is trying to recoup that money back from AO Technology. They've gone to the courts to get that money back, and the GEPF saying that they've been put in the summons as part of the PIC's court case without even the fund being informed about this. So very, very bad communication in terms of the PIC informing them about this AO deal, informing them about the action, the court action that they're planning to take against AO.
So those dots just not connecting
not at all
in those cases. Now, Dan Matjila, we're still hearing from him.
Yes.
He's going into a bit more detail about just his involvement in certain deals and transactions and what was happening. Just the main ones, if you can pick out for us.
Yes, so he's going to continue for the rest of the week. Yesterday, he just picked up a little bit, given the fact that the GEPF was first on the stand. But Dan Matjila is basically being questioned about his involvement in all the transactions. One specifically that they've been focusing on over the last 2 days is the Tosaka deal. One must remember that a company called Kilicap and Sakumnoto were merged together to buy shares into Total SA through PIC funding. But the reason why this deal is questionable is because the allegation that came forward was that Dan Matjila forced these two companies to merge together without following proper due diligence on the one company and forcing the other company to go through a very lengthy and tedious process. And the Commission asking, but why did you do that? And he's completely denying this, saying that it just so happened, listen to this, it just so happened that they were both at the PIC at the same time, and they both happened to be in the room at the same time and decided that in actual fact maybe we should merge and take
a good idea to become friends
and become a big company and receive 1.8 billion rand from
I wonder how
PIC.
many major deals around the world are made like that, Heidi.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
To be right place, right time. Okay,
yeah.
well,
so he will continue with his involvement in all the investments.
Okay, so that's where you're heading off next.
Yes.
Thanks very much, Heidi Jokos. I don't know how she keeps track of all this wheeling and dealing and all the companies involved in all of this. I suppose she's young enough to do that. All right, thanks very much for that.